She stood there like she owned the damn place, 4-inch heels, knockoff designer bag, and enough fake confidence to power a reality show. One manicured hand pressed against the gold-rimmed glass doors of my hotel. "Sorry, sweetheart," Tessa sneered, lips curled in that same smirk she wore to every family gathering like it was part of her uniform. "This entrance is for actual guests, not girls still maxing out expired credit cards." She laughed, tossed her bleach blonde hair over her shoulder like she just delivered a punchline worthy of a late-night show. Next to her, our mother leaned in with that tight smile and a whisper sharp enough to cut skin. "Please don't make a scene. Honey, you've embarrassed us enough. My name is Ava Sinclair, and if you've ever been written out of your own story by the people who helped raise you, you'll want to stay with me." I didn't say a word, just stood there in a black tailored suit. No logos, no glitter, just quiet control. They didn't recognize it. They never had. Tessa stepped directly in front of me, voice rising for effect. "Why don't you head back to wherever you came from? Ava, I'm sure the red line has a seat just for you." She laughed again, but I didn't even flinch. That's when the doors slid open with a soft hiss and Dante Vega stepped out. 6'5", ex-military, head of security for the Sinclair Grand. My right hand, my wall, my sword. He walked toward us with the kind of steady, deliberate movement that makes people instinctively get out of the way. He stopped just behind Tessa and said, "Cool as ever. Ma'am, you're blocking access to a private event." Tessa turned like she'd just been asked to move her purse. "I'm with my mother. We're meeting the GM. Dante didn't blink. "No, you're not. The owner's already arrived." Mother scoffed. "And who exactly owns this hotel?" Dante looked at me, then stepped aside, and I walked right past both of them, heels silent on the marble. No words, no drama, just a reckoning in motion. Tessa's voice cracked behind me. "Wait, Ava." I turned around just once. "You didn't see me when I was starving," I said softly. "Don't look now that I'm feasting." Then I disappeared into the lobby, the security team closing the doors behind me like a final punctuation mark. Outside, I imagined my mother's perfectly set face crumbling, Tessa's shrieking tone rising, but none of it touched me anymore, because this place, every tile, every chandelier, every inch of gold-trimmed glass, it was mine. Inside, the Sinclair Grand gleamed like the empire I built from silence and spite. Black marble floors, crystal chandeliers, orchids flown in weekly from Thailand. Not just a hotel proof. Proof of what happens when you bet on the girl no one believes in. Claire, my assistant, met me at the elevator, tablet in one hand, earpiece in the other. She glanced at the live security feed. "They still don't know." I shook my head. Never even asked. We rode the elevator to the penthouse, the private residence above the hotel. Floor-to-ceiling windows wrapping around the skyline like arms. In the center, a long mahogany table set for 10. Tonight was the investor dinner. CEOs, angel investors, people who saw me, people who didn't need my last name to respect my first. Before they arrived, I ducked into my office and opened my inbox. One new message. Subject guest complaint, blocked entrance. From Dante. He'd already filed the incident. Logged, time-stamped, harassment. I forwarded it to legal, because they hadn't just tried to humiliate me, they'd obstructed access to a private, corporate event. This wasn't Thanksgiving dinner. This was a business, and it was mine. I let that thought settle. Let it simmer like good revenge. An hour later, the dining room pulsed with laughter and clinking glassware. The scent of truffle oil, saffron, success. Just as I rose to make my toast, Claire whispered through the earpiece, "They're still downstairs. Tessa's name-dropping your mother now trying to get past security." I smiled, held up my glass, and tapped it gently. "Before we begin," I said, eyes sweeping the table, "I want to share something personal." All eyes locked on me. I was raised in a family where success wasn't about dreams. It was about paychecks, zeros, appearances. I was too sensitive, too ambitious, too naive. A pause. But tonight we're dining in a building I designed, a business I built, and just a few floors below us. The people who called me an embarrassment are now begging to be let in. Soft, knowing laughter rippled around the room. I raised my glass a little higher. Here's to building what they swore you never could, and watching them choke on the silence you leave behind. The toast hit like a thunderclap. Claire buzzed again. Your mother's calling. Again. I didn't answer. Let her sit in the lobby. Let her stare at the name she once said would never be anything more than a phase. Because the girl they whispered about over dinner now owned the dining hall, and the building, and the damn block. By midnight, they were still downstairs. Tessa pacing like a lion in a silk cage, phone glued to her ear. My mother frozen in a chair, arms crossed, lips tight, jumping at every elevator chime. I stood on the penthouse balcony, champagne in hand, Claire flipping through security feeds beside me. They've been down there 4 hours, she muttered. Should I have Dante escort them off? I shook my head. Let them sit. Because this wasn't about a hotel lobby. It was about the decade they told me I was small. The Christmas Tessa mocked my hobby job, the birthday where she got a Gucci watch, and I got a used copy of The Power of Now. The angel funding I fought tooth and nail to win while she posted TikToks mocking women with fake companies. They were never interested in the hard parts. The 2 a.m. investor calls, the 19-hour days, the credit cards maxed to keep the lights on. They only noticed when it was too late to matter. Claire glanced at the screen. Your mom just asked the concierge for the owner's name. I laughed. Let her read it. On the screen. We watched my mother stare at the paper. Her eyes moved left to right, then stopped. Ava Sinclair? Her mouth parted slightly, and in that moment, I saw it. Recognition, not pride, not even regret, just shock, cold and total. Tessa stormed off. My mother sat perfectly still. I turned to Claire. Remove their names from the guest list. Just for tonight. No, I said, forever. She nodded. Consider it done. The next morning, a note was slipped under my office door. Ivory stationery. Heavy. The kind rich people use when guilt needs dressing up. The scent of my mother's perfume clung to it like old stories that never really die. Dearest Ava, I didn't know. If I had, things would have been different. I was trying to protect you from disappointment, not hold you back. I'm proud of you. Truly. Let's talk. Love, Mom. I read it once. Then again, let it sit in my hands like ash. If she had known, no, she didn't know because she didn't care to look. She didn't ask. Didn't believe I could be more than the screw-up daughter with impossible dreams and a stubborn streak. And now that I proved her wrong, she didn't apologize. She pivoted. That note didn't say I'm sorry. It said I'm scared. I walked it to the fireplace in the lounge, watched the edges curl, blacken, disintegrate. Some apologies are just smoke signals from a ship that watched you drown. Claire stepped in moments later. Your mother just tried to book a lunch reservation, under the name Sinclair. I raised an eyebrow. Let her come. Claire blinked. Really? I'm not inviting her. I said, I just want her to see the portrait. Because in the center of the Sinclair Grand's Michelin-starred restaurant, under a ceiling of velvet and steel, was a 12-foot framed photo from Forbes magazine. Ava Sinclair, 32, youngest woman in the state to own a private hospitality empire. Not ego. Armor. The kind you build when the people who were supposed to protect you became the ones who laughed hardest at your ambition. Sure enough, cameras caught her at 1:07 p.m. She walked in like she belonged, paused, saw the portrait, and stopped. Her face didn't fall in sorrow or pride. It broke. The kind of breaking that happens when you realize history got written and you weren't in the room. She ordered tea, never touched it, left 5 minutes later. That night, I rode the elevator to the rooftop. The city pulsed below, lights blinking like heartbeat monitors. Claire joined me with her tablet. Quarterly numbers are in, we're up 32%. I smiled. You know what to do. She nodded. Already filing trademark paperwork. Sinclair Group International goes in tonight. Also final paperwork for the trust. Your name only? The power wasn't just in ownership now. It was in legacy. The next day, invitations went out thick gold-foiled envelopes, curated to perfection. Launch night for Sinclair Residences. A new 30-floor property with skyline suites, a private club, and one unspoken message in every inch of polished marble. I built this without you. The guest list, tight. Influencers, developers, editors. Not a single family member. But Tessa showed up anyway, not as a guest, as someone's plus one. She clung to the arm of a mid-tier lifestyle blogger like a barnacle in Balenciaga, smiled for the cameras, pretended nothing had ever broken. Claire caught her at the elevator. Private guest list only. Tessa bared teeth. Oh, I'm not staying. Just here to support. She made eye contact with me across the room. Waved. Like we were sisters again. I didn't wave back. I walked past her, flanked by two partners and a city councilman who just approved our next location's zoning. She stared like a stranger watching a comet. Beautiful. Distant. Dangerous. Later, during the cocktail hour, she cornered me by the sculpture garden. Fake champagne in hand. Lip gloss, weaponized. You made your point, she said. Can we move on now? I blinked. Move on from what? She rolled her eyes. God, you're still so dramatic. No, I said, I'm deliberate. There's a difference. Then I stepped around her. I didn't need to shout. I didn't need to prove anything. Because the chandeliers above us, the logo on every velvet napkin, the building itself, all louder than she'd ever been. That night, I stood under the lights in the grand hall. Flashbulbs, applause, a mic in my hand. For years, I said, I was told I was too emotional, too ambitious, too naive. I smiled. But the truth is, too much is exactly what it takes. The room erupted. Hands clapped. Names whispered. And outside, Tessa was already gone. Not escorted. Not thrown out. She simply knew. The empire wasn't hers. And she could never block the door again. 2 days later, a massive bouquet showed up at the front desk. White lilies. Overdone. No card. I didn't need one. Only my mother sent apologies expensive enough to mean nothing. Claire texted a photo. Vent M. No, I replied, donate it. Send it to the hospice downtown. If she wanted to give something, let it actually help someone for once. That night, a message request came in. No contact name. Just a number. But the tone was familiar. You made your point. Ava, you've punished us enough. But money doesn't rewrite history. Family is still family. Mom. I stared at the screen. Felt the old reflex shrink. Apologize. Explain. Then I remembered. Power doesn't argue. It just lasts. I turned off my phone. The next morning, I stood on stage at the Sinclair Grand, hosting the city's development summit. Mayors, investors, planners, and me. I presented our next project, a co-op program for marginalized youth. Real estate development, tech, hospitality, fully funded, fully staffed. Success, I said, isn't just the view from the penthouse. It's who you pull up with you. Standing ovation. No one asked about Tessa. No one mentioned my mother. They weren't the story anymore. Afterward, Dante approached. Your mother's at the front desk. Says she has something to return. I didn't flinch. She's not on the guest list. He nodded. Thought so. She never made it past the lobby. Not out of spite. Just protocol. Because once upon a time, they blocked me from this place. Now I decided who got in. Tessa tried one last time. Filed a claim defamation, emotional distress, exclusion from family wealth. Attached my speech, photos, articles. It was ridiculous. But shamelessness. It's dangerous when backed into a corner. Claire walked in with her tablet. She's trying to drag it to court. I laughed. Funny. I thought I was just minding my business. We responded cleanly. Security footage. Guest logs. Her old social posts mocking entrepreneurs. Filed a counterclaim for dismissal and damages. Within 72 hours, it was over. Her lawyer withdrew. Judge signed an order. Tessa barred from filing civil claims against me without prior review. Good. I said, I'm done being her stepping stone. That weekend, we hosted a rooftop charity gala. Grants for women in tech, startup seed funds, housing programs, and as the violins played and champagne flowed, I stepped up one last time. I was told I'd embarrass the family. I said, laughter. They were right. A pause. Not because I failed, but because I outgrew the version of me they were comfortable with. Applause. Flashbulbs. My name on everyone's lips, Ava Sinclair. The woman who once wasn't allowed in the lobby, now owned the skyline. It didn't end with revenge. It ended with power, and a silence so final, it echoed. Tessa moved to Phoenix, changed her last name, started a podcast no one listened to. My mother sent one last email. I hope you're proud. I just wish you didn't feel the need to shut us out. I didn't reply. Because I didn't shut them out. They closed the door. Now, I just hold the keys. Claire walked in with final paperwork. New ownership transfer. Sinclair Group expanding Tokyo. Dubai. 2 new restaurants. A private club. You want to sign it, she asked. I took the pen. Signed without hesitation. A signature once scribbled on napkins, now the seal on million-dollar deals. Later that night, I walked through the lobby, the same floor where they told me I didn't belong. But everything looked different. Or maybe I did. Outside, a teen girl sat on the curb, laptop open, papers everywhere. Startup pitch deck half collapsing in her lap. You work here, she asked. I smiled. No, I said, I own it. I handed her my card. Don't let them convince you you're small. I told her. They only say that when they're scared of what you'll build without them. And I walked on. Because the skyline wasn't going to climb itself.